Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win? Well, before we get started, I'd like to say that this is episode number 40. This is pretty exciting. This is quite the milestone. Some of the things we hear about the number 40 in regards to our age especially is that a fool at 40 is a fool for life. So hopefully if you are listening to this podcast, it will help you to not be so foolish. I know it's kind of corny, but hey, why not? Loosen up a little bit. Before we jump right into episode number 40, I'd like to give you an opportunity to connect with me, and you can do so by clicking the link in the description. So if you need beats made, instrumentals for some content that you create, if you're a photographer, videographer, if you have a cooking show, if you're a podcaster like myself, or if you're a rapper, a singer, etc., songwriter, and you need some instrumentals or some beats, feel free to click the link in the description and select Get Beats or Lease Beats. If you don't feel like clicking the link in the description, you can also head directly to soundclick.com/churchd. You'll be able to access over 150 instrumentals there. You can also access my full catalog of music. I put out some albums, some EPs, and some singles as well. The latest project I put out is entitled Don't Quit. It's a single. Right before that one came out was a full-length album by the name of Something's Missing. Before that was an EP entitled The Big Reveal. Right before The Big Reveal came a single by the name of The Vision. Right before that was my very first album, and that was entitled The Cactus, Bare Minimum 2.0. So you can access all of my music just by clicking the link in the description. It has some really cool jazz vibes, some hip hop, a little reggae is in there as well. It's just some easy listening tunes that you can play when you're in your car, or if you're just trying to unwind after work, or if you're trying to head to work in a good mood. You can just go ahead and check that out. Also, if you'd like to learn how to play piano, I do offer a 7-week virtual course that you can go ahead and purchase, again, by clicking the link in the description. And we will meet weekly virtually, whether it's on Zoom or your preferred method of meeting, and we'll just go over what you've learned. And I can also share with you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years, and it will help enhance your piano playing and make you a better musician. So we can go ahead and connect there. Lastly, if you'd like to leave a donation, if you'd like to say, hey, congrats, man, for doing 40 episodes, or if you just feel as though this podcast has been really beneficial to your growth and development just as an individual, or even as an entrepreneur, or whatever field that you're in, you can go ahead and just shoot me some money. You can make a donation. The link to my Cash App is available, so you can, share that way. If you don't want to, that's fine. You don't have to. I'm not begging. I'm not even really asking. I'm just opening the floor for those who would like to do so. That's also in by clicking the link in the description. Okay, so that's it for the promo of this episode. I know I do this every time, and sometimes I'm pretty sure people feel like it's getting old. But hey, if I don't do it, you won't know what's going on. You won't know what I have to offer. And I don't want to leave you hanging. I want you to be well informed, right? Okay, enough of my little rambling. Let's jump right into the topic of episode number 40. Now, this topic came to mind a while back. I'm just now getting to release it. And it deals with being able to say no and being okay with saying no. So the title of this episode is You Don't Have to. It's okay to say no. Now, I wanted to address this because sometimes we will get wrapped up in people pleasing, and we end up forgetting about ourselves, or even, to take it a step further, some of our other responsibilities that we should be focusing on. So as always, I have 3 points that I'm going to dig into a little bit to explore this idea of not having to say yes to everything, of simply just saying no sometimes, because you're not obligated to. You don't have to. So the first point is, just because they said you have to, it doesn't mean you actually have to. The second point is to ask questions. And the third and final point is don't feel guilty. So let's start off with point number 1. Just because they said you have to, it doesn't mean you actually have to. Now, I just want to be clear. This isn't the episode encouraging you to regress back to the terrible twos. Okay, so don't say no to everything, but rather, to give you a different perspective to consider. Myself, entrepreneurs, and creatives may be able to relate mostly to this, but it still applies to those who did not choose that career route as well. So, question. Have you ever been asked to do something that you didn't feel like doing? Of course you have. We all have. I have. As a matter of fact, as I'm recording this episode, as soon as I'm finished, I'm going to have to do something that I don't feel like doing, just to be, transparent. But anyways, enough about me. So the thing is, right, whatever you're being asked to do, it might not even be a bad thing, and it could even be somewhat beneficial to you. But if you don't want to do it, is it really worth putting your energy into it half-heartedly? So, for example, I'm going to talk about myself again because I'm not going to sue myself, right? When I was in college, I started off as an accounting major, as some of you may know, just, by listening to some of the other episodes. And, they sort of give you your core classes, but then you have to take some electives. And a lot of the electives that I had to take in order to just earn credits towards my degree, to me, I felt like was a waste of time. And honestly, I did not put a lot of effort into those classes, into like really learning anything. I just was trying to get a grade and focus on my core classes because I knew that I wanted to be an accountant. So they would put me in, I don't know, like a science class, right? Where we'd have to learn about plants. Now, as interesting and intriguing as learning about plants and science could possibly be, I wasn't sure how that would apply or relate to accounting. How is that going to help me with doing accruals or like an amortization schedule? That just, to me, it didn't make any sense. So again, I wouldn't put as much effort into those electives. And till this day, I don't really remember much about it, but I just did the bare minimum to get enough credits to pass to move on to the next level. Okay, now let's apply that to life. Let's say somebody, called you in to do something that you don't want to do. And you're just doing it half-heartedly because you don't want to let them down by saying yes. Or believe it or not, you're actually still letting them down because you're working half-heartedly. You're not giving it your all. You're not working to your full potential to make sure that whatever vision they had or whatever it was they're trying to include you in is going to be the best. You're just sort of trying to cruise along and make the grade like I did, if you will. But I made the grade and I still got my degree. So yeah, that's another story. Just had to put that in there. But I digress. It would be better to simply say no. You could just let them know in a respectful way, hey, I'm not really a good fit for this. I think you should ask somebody else. Sometimes you might even be able to offer a better recommendation. Let's think about cooking or baking. Let's say you're a really good cook, like you can make any dinner dish, but you're not very good at baking and they want you to bake. You could say, hey, my friend, they are much better at baking than I am. Why don't you try asking them? And, you can include them and who knows what will happen from there. You might have created a new relationship for somebody and that can just, take off from there where they'll be connected to even better opportunities. So you never know. You don't always have to be the first person to say yes just because people ask you to. And lastly, before I segue into my second point, you might not feel like doing it. You might just be like, I don't feel like doing it. So I'm not going to do this half-heartedly. So sorry, I can't be a part of it. And that's that for point number 1. Point number 2, this might be the fastest point ever. But let's see if I can dig a little bit deeper. Point number 2 is to simply ask questions. Now, first, you want to start off by asking yourself questions. Some good questions to ask yourself would be, is this really beneficial for me? How is this helping me? Will I be drained or will I be refilled after doing this? What part do I have to play in this? Now I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I want to examine and break down each question that I just presented. So the first question, is this really beneficial for me? Now, the reason why I suggest to ask that is not to be narcissistic, but to just really make sure your time is not being wasted. Time is a very valuable asset that we can never get back. So just make sure that if you're going to commit to something, is it beneficial for you? How is it helping you? Again, similar to is it beneficial for me? Is it going to help or is it going to hurt? Is it going to affect your character? Is it going to affect your reputation? These are some more questions you want to ask yourself. The next question that I presented was, will I be drained or will I be refilled after doing this? Sometimes people just will, ride a free horse to death. That was an expression some of my family members like to use. But it's true. They might see that you're a nice individual that tends to say yes all the time. And so they'll just begin to use you over and over and over again until you're completely drained. You're tired out and you don't have enough energy to put out to your own goals and your own visions and your own aspirations. So that's something that you might want to keep in mind. Another question is, what part do I have to play in this? Sometimes you have to play a major role. Sometimes your role is not important and you don't actually have to be a part of it. The pandemic has taught me quite a bit. And it has shown me that I don't actually have to be a part of a lot of things in person. There were plenty of events musical events that I was asked to be a part of. And, I didn't have to physically be there. I could actually make tracks, performance tracks, send it via email, and from the comfort of my home, be a part of the event. So that means I did not have to pack my gear up, load it into my car, and drive over 50 miles one way, unpack my gear, set it up, sound check, play for several hours, break down my gear, pack my car up, and drive another 50 miles back. I didn't have to do that. My time wasn't wasted. I was chilling, honestly, and the job was done. Sorry, I had to give you a little taste of that musician life. That's the life we all live. And then here's like a little sidebar. A lot of musicians are like heavily underpaid, especially the good ones. And then the ones who really aren't that good are overpaid. So next time you see a musician struggling and he or she has a good heart, pay them on time and take care of them. Make sure you're not wasting their time. But that's a whole nother episode that I'll have to get into another time. We're going to stay on topic. We're talking about asking questions. So yeah, be sure to ask yourself these questions. You don't want to put out so much energy where you're literally pouring from an empty cup at this point. You're going to end up doing more harm than good. All right, let's jump into the third and final point, which simply says, don't feel guilty. You don't have to feel guilty for saying no. That no might actually be more of a blessing than you think. You might not have been the right fit, and you could have possibly ended up slowing down the progress of the vision, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Or you might actually be bigger than that vision, and that's quite okay. Sometimes people think that they're including you into something that will help you, but they don't really know who you are. And maybe you're just a very humble soul where you don't go out there and broadcast yourself and say, I'm this, I'm that, look at me. You like to keep to yourself and be humble. So they're not aware of like really the gifting, if you will, that you carry. So they'll probably say, okay, come be a part of this little thing. And they don't know that you've been a part of really massive things. Now, you can say okay sometimes, that you don't have to worry about that. But it's going to get to a point where you just sort of have to fall back and say, you know what? It's nothing against you. I humbly and respectfully will have to decline. And don't feel guilty about doing that. Don't let that eat you up at night as though you're somebody who's sort of arrogant or, or self-absorbed. No, you're not. It's just you've graduated. We're not going to go through 4 years of college, graduate, and then go back to high school or middle school or elementary school. No, you graduate and you just keep making progress onward and upward. So don't feel guilty about it. Also, you don't have to put yourself into a box for the sake of not offending others. You can't please everyone all the time, and that's okay. I've said this once before in another episode. If you tell somebody no and they're pretty much offended by that, that just tells you the type of person they are. Even if you're saying no for your mental health, for your physical health, or to focus more so on family, they should be able to understand that and respect that. If they can't, don't allow them to guilt trip you. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel obligated to always say yes, because again, that person, they're probably dealing with some other character flaws that they need to work on. And they'll have to get the help that they need at some point. It might not come from you, however, and it doesn't have to come from you. So don't feel guilty if you feel as though you can't help them right away. Maybe you can point them in the direction of somebody who can. And that was my third and final point for episode 40. Not too long, just in and out. Hopefully you got the gist of things. Let's just do a quick recap of the 3 points. So the first point is, just because they said you have to doesn't mean you actually have to. You're the boss. You make the calls. The second point is to ask questions. Get as much information as you can and ask yourself questions. Is it really worth your time? 9 times out of 10, it might not be. And the third and final point, don't feel guilty. Don't allow anybody to guilt trip you for saying no. We first need to focus on our mental and emotional health as well as our physical well-being in order to be beneficial and help others. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.